But look how happy he was when he started to sing.
Oh, we all need them. We all need some strategies for living.
Yes, we do.
Are you ready? Are you ready for your daily dose?
Well, I know something everyone else doesn't know.
Oh, what do
which
you know?
You've done it again.
Yeah, what?
You've done it again.
What do you mean? I'm out of the pool and back to school? Is that what you mean?
That's right.
Hey, folks, welcome into 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. He is Jimmie Bryant, Ph.D. I'm not sure I'm quite ready to get out of the pool. I may be ready to go back to school, but I don't know if I'm ready.
I'm not ready to get out of the pool.
I don't know if I'm ready to get out of the pool yet.
No.
But nonetheless, we are back to school, and so we invited Denisa Walker, the executive director, the owner of Learning Rx in Shreveport, to be with us today. Always a pleasure.
Always.
I always enjoy coming too.
And so we've got a lot to talk about today,
Lots
right?
of fun things.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, we all know we all know roughly where our kid is as they go to school. But we hope for the best. And so we're going to talk about that. When do you get the help? When do you intervene? When do you, move in and give that extra, that little extra that Learning RX can provide? We're going to talk about all of that. We're also going to talk for all of us about hydration and super hydration, because you're pulling us out of the pool, as Jimmie and I were talking about. And so we need to stay hydrated. And because we still have some pretty warm days ahead. We've gotten a respite the last couple of days, but it's ending tomorrow. And we're in for some more hot days before the relief of, our relief sometimes doesn't come till the 1st of October, depending on the year. And I'm no weather forecaster, but I don't know. We may wait until October this year. We'll see. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about today on Strategies for Living with Denisa Walker. And folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being here with us, and we appreciate our sponsors: Learning RX, the Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing,
Roof.
Hempress, Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and the Shreveport Little Theater. Back in a moment. We're getting out of the pool. We're going back to school. Denisa Walker, our life strategist today, here on Strategies for Living. Stay right where you are. We've all got a lot to learn.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome into Strategies for Living here on 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Jimmie, Bryant, David, McMillian. She opened Shreveport Learning Rx in 2008 with a passion. And I am talking passion with a capital P, Jimmie, of training the brain in order to conquer the underlying deficits that are, showing up as dyslexia, largely due to a history of this condition in her own family, and watching the lives of students all ages change in a dramatic way due to cognitive efficiency. Well, it's her passion. Denisa has her Master's of Education from UT Tyler and is a certified master reading teacher and dyslexia specialist. In addition, she has 30-plus years of teaching and administrative experience, and she's also has certification and training in various OG-based dyslexia programs. She's the first board-certified cognitive specialist in the state of Louisiana and in the Learning RX system. And I could go on and on and on, but I tell you what, though. How many books have you written?
Number 8 is coming out.
8
now.
is you're working on number 8. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually just it was released yesterday. So
fantastic.
yeah. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
And
it's a lot of
probably
fun.
already working on a 9th, knowing
I've
Denisa.
got several written. They
No
just
doubt,
haven't
yeah,
done publication yet. Yeah.
All right, out of the pool and back to school. It just doesn't seem fair, Denise. I mean, didn't summer just start? And
I'm actually missing my pool time tonight to come here. So
well, thank
yay.
you. Thank you for that.
It's my relaxation.
We
thing I
appreciate your
do.
sacrifice.
We do. And maybe you can get a dip afterwards.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. I'm not saying that you have to stay out of the pool. I'm just saying that the reality is that
It is
it's
out
not,
of the pool.
Yeah, it is. The school day has started, and it is the reality that now we have to actually turn our minds in that direction now.
Okay, so, even if your child has been promoted from second to third or from fifth to sixth or from wherever, okay?
Sure.
We all pretty much know kind of the where our child is.
The who we're sending back to school.
The who we're sending back to school. We know if we're sending back our overachieving student.
Sure.
We know if we're sending back on the other end of the spectrum our struggling student. We may not understand completely why our child is struggling. In fact, let me ask you this. How uncommon, or how common, I should say, is it for a child to do pretty well in school until a certain level is reached? Maybe for some it's second grade, for some it's fourth grade, for some it's fifth grade, and then something dramatically different. How common is that?
I will say it's even more common now that we're starting to see this, and for multiples of reasons. But we had such a diversity in the way we had delivery during the COVID time.
Right.
So there's so much diversity in where our kids are right now as learners.
There's a lot of deficiencies.
There's a
aren't
lot
there?
of deficiencies, and
Yeah.
some of the deficiencies we account for, and some of them we can't account for. And
Right.
sometimes, being in the middle of the pack is not necessarily truly in the middle of the pack. I mean,
Right.
if you're in the middle of the pack and the pack is all deficient, then that's not a good place to
Right.
be, right?
Right.
So I think that is the biggest factor right now, and I hear that a lot. I didn't realize my kid was so far behind because they made great grades, or I didn't until they took this test, or until they took that test, I didn't realize that. So I really think if I could say anything to any parent or any person at all, I think that every person should have a true valuation of what their child's thinking abilities are. And that means that they need a cognitive test. And
Right.
the reason why for that is not so I can drive business to Learning RX, but for a couple of reasons. One, baseline. So if something is happening in your child's life and you have no idea what the baseline is, so we have had incidents where children go play sports and they get a head injury or a ball to the head or something like that, and then the parents have no idea what their skill set truly was before that incident. But also when you're sending a child back to school and you say, well, he's just a visual learner. Why? Why is he a visual learner? Is it because he has a memory loss, or is it because he actually has trouble with visual processing?
All right. Now, some people may be listening to us, and some parents are saying, oh, well, cognitive testing, yeah, that'll happen in school.
It does not happen at school.
Okay.
It does not
Say that
happen
again.
at school.
Say that again. Cognitive testing. Well, the school will do that.
No, cognitive testing does not happen at school. And not only does it not happen to school, there's an assumption that reading actually begins in the classroom, and it does not. Reading starts in the brain. And so when parents start saying, well, my child's having trouble reading, but the teacher was just not a good teacher, or because of COVID, or because they've been sick a lot, because reading actually begins in the brain. It does not begin in the classroom. And so the classroom is there to instruct in the code and in those processes and make it more instant. But the actual instance of reading and how that happens begins in the brain.
Right.
And so if you don't know if the tools are there to build it, it's like, I'm going to go build a house, but I don't know if I have the right equipment to do so. So who would start building a house, or even say, I'm going to go build the house and I don't have the tools I need to build.
And I don't have the tools.
Right.
Or in the case of the cognitive testing, which gives you the baseline, that's kind of like the blueprints, isn't it?
Yeah, and very much so. I mean, you need to know whether your child has a handsaw or a skill saw. I mean, you need to know what the things are that your child is going to be working with as they're building. And in the school setting, they're assuming that your kids have the skills that are necessary so that they can build the house through the process, and then they're just adding the contents to the house.
Okay, so cognitive testing at Learning RX. You can't. It's not going to happen in school. You're going to have to get it done.
For sure.
Cognitive testing at Learning RX. Complicated process or no?
Super easy process. So you pick up the phone, you call Learning RX, or you can go on the website, whichever way is your preference, and then you book the assessment.
And that can all be done online.
It can be done
or
online.
You can pick up the phone 797-8523. Call Learning RX Shreveport. Do it easy.
Right.
Easy
and
that
we
way.
do have a discount right now. Our back to school special is $100 off, and that includes the assessment and the consultation. So what normally would cost a significant amount of money right now is
$100
discounted $100 off.
Talk about easing inflation, right?
Right, for sure. And then that's one of those things, like with school supplies and everything going on. I mean, that's a big help,
right?
For parents to do that. And so I think that's a key for everybody to know where you're. And I would say even adults need that skill set. They need to know where they are. But all children of all ages need to know that for sure. You need to know where their skill set is.
Because reading. Some people may say, well, but my kid's good in science and my kid's good in math. But why is reading important across all subjects?
Well, because you have to read. I mean, you have to read to be able to do all of your skills. And the sad
I got to be able to
is,
read my biology and my chemistry text.
Well, and the really sad thing that was when we look at it, that the nation's report card came out and said 67% of fourth graders are not reading at grade level.
67%.
67% are not at fourth
That's
grade
a disturbing
reading
number.
level.
Yeah.
That's 2/3 of our kids are not reading at grade level by fourth grade. So that gap is growing bigger and bigger and bigger by eighth grade. And so you're getting further and further. I mean, you're talking 1/3 of the kids that are reading at grade level by fourth grade. That is astounding.
It really is. She always makes us think when she comes. Right. Denisa Walker from Learning RX, 797-8523. That's the number. You want to pick up the phone, you want to call, or you can go online, learningrx.com/Shreveport, and you can book the, you can book your cognitive testing online. You can call. It's $100 off right now, 797-8523. I just want to go to the theater. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100 plus years, Shreveport Little Theater has been providing American theater at its best right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And just around the corner, the new season starts with Always Patsy Cline. Starts September the 1st, and you want to get your tickets. And while you're at ShreveportLittleTheater.com, check out the rest of the season.
It's going to be good.
You're looking forward to My Way.
That's
I
right.
know.
It's on my birthday. So
yeah. I'm bringing you.
My present to myself.
Is
it your present to
It's
me?
my present to you.
Okay.
The music of Sinatra, My Way, in October and November. Then the Wonderettes are back in December with Winter Wonderettes on stage in January. 5 women wearing the same dress. Dial M for Murder is up in February and March, and Jimmy Buffett's Escape to Margaritaville in April. Plus, there's the Academy season, Elf Jr. and Cinderella and The Little Mermaid and The Lion King for kids. Find out all about it, ShreveportLittleTheater.com, 812 Margaret Place in Shreveport. American theater at its best, ShreveportLittleTheater.com. And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Jimmy Bryant, David McMillian, Denisa Walker. We're out of the pool and back to school. And yeah, whether we're ready or not, here we come.
Here.
Yeah, I don't want to get off on this too, but I want to ask your opinion on something. You know, I was identified pretty early as a good reader, but I didn't like to read. And I remember in 5th grade, I went to Catholic schools, and they had a program back 100 years ago when I was in school. They called it Great Books. And so we had to read, I think it was including Black Beauty, Little Women, Miracle on 34th Street. Those are the ones that I recall right off the top of my head. And it was a special treat because they'd pick us up there were a lot of different Catholic schools in town back then, and we'd all go over to St. Joseph's, and it would be a Friday afternoon of talking about the books. And I remember, true confession here, bless me, Father, I've sinned. I would do everything I could to not read the book, right?
Sure, the Cliff
Yeah,
Note version.
the Cliff Note version. Yeah, I would go get if there was a comic book, you know, that I'd go get that, and I'd fake it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until much later that and you know me now. You've been to my office. You know what, I'm a voracious reader now. But that seemed to have happened, I don't know, sometime early college years or right after.
Sure.
What happened?
Well, probably a couple of different things. Probably you had some attention issues.
That
wasn't your focus.
No doubt.
The love of reading comes from reading the things that you love to read.
Yeah.
And not being forced to read things that you don't like to read. And
Right.
I think that that's probably part of the piece of the love for reading. But just like with anything else, if you're good at something, it's going to be a little easier for you. And you can be declared good at something and not actually be good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, people would say I'm great at marketing, but
I remember, they would test us every year, and I remember like in the 5th and 6th grade, I was reading on the 11th grade level.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just blowing people away,
But a lot
but
of that's
I
probably
didn't
based
like
on
to
your
read.
vocabulary,
Yeah.
So you're on your vocabulary skills and that type of thing. So I think that, having a passion about it, some people are just turned into reading and some people are not turned into reading. And that does not affect your ability to do or not to do something like that. I mean, that's one thing for sure,
Yeah.
that affects that. But I think there is a big factor when the reading process itself is easy or not easy for a child. If it's really, really difficult for a child, they're going to really dislike it.
So is it better to, help your child pick out material that's right at grade level, just a little bit less than grade level?
Sure.
Or do we want to do?
You actually want both.
Okay.
So you want a child to read for fun and enjoyment. You want them to read probably a little beyond below the reading level.
Right.
And then you
For just the
read
fun
beyond.
stuff.
Right.
Okay.
You read beyond. So a lot of my parents don't realize that you need to be reading to your child. So most of them stop reading when their child is able to read.
Right.
And that's actually not very good at all. You need to be reading to your child every day, all the way through school. And the purpose to that is...
So even when that young person reaches middle school,
For sure.
I still need to be
Absolutely.
reading to...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a great time for you to integrate that experience and speaking to experience through the child so that it actually helps them relate to the text. So if you're reading with them, now the reality is you and your child may not have the same likes or dislikes, but you still can engage in the same chapter book.
Right.
I encourage my parents to read to their students no matter what their age because, one, it creates that family dynamic. Two, it opens that family conversation. Three, it allots or gives you opportunity to talk about things in it. So read things that are challenging and different. And I don't really care if that particular thing, like one of my favorite books I encourage parents to get for the middle school ages, Out of the Dust. Out of the Dust by Karen Hess is awesome.
Yeah.
It's written in total poetry and it's written about the Dust Bowl. Well, that gives them something that you can speak about by history and
Right.
you can introduce history that they have no knowledge of or no integration of. So you're building vocabulary, you're building experience, you're building all those things to them. At younger grades, I say read Enoch Rise, read Tuck Everlasting, read these types of books that actually challenge your own processing and your own thought processes because you're going to interact with the text. The joy of reading comes from the interaction with the text and what you take away from it. And you may have read those books as a child, and then when you reread them as an adult, you have a total different take on them. And you can say, when I was a kid, I thought this was this, but now I'm reading it again and I experience
see this, yeah.
Where the red fern grows. All of these fun books that actually my husband and I were talking the other day about Summer of the Monkeys and how much fun that book was. And a lot of people don't realize how much fun that book is.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous book, And so there's so many good text out there from all genres that can really give that experience. And the big thing for me is it works on that memory. And
Yes.
memory is such a big factor because that does affect our attention skills. That does affect our, behavior in the classroom. When we have poor memory skills and we're not able to encode, especially auditory processing and auditory memory, because the teacher is talking all day long. And if your auditory memory is poor, then you're not remembering what's being said. And you get home and they said, "What happened at school today?" I don't really know.
And now the cognitive testing can identify exactly where a child is there, right?
Absolutely.
And a number of
100%.
other, it gives you a number of other points, right?
Sure.
What all points does the cognitive testing give?
So we test the 7 core cognitive skills, but we have 20 subtests. So we actually test the processing speed, which is how fast that your brain is beginning, the attention skills, which there's 3 different levels of attention that you test, and the working memory. And all of those are tied up in executive processing. And then we test your auditory processing and word attack ability, your visual processing, which affects your mathematical ability as well as your comprehension, and your memory. And we also test your logic and reasoning, which is, a skill that's so necessary for math and for reading between the lines and reading.
Right.
And then your memories, your long-term memory.
Does it ever get old for you, Denise? Because I know you've got story after story after story of kids that come in and you test and you identify, well, here's the deficit here, here's a deficit here, here's what we can do with brain training to bring that deficit up. Does it ever get old when the parents come back with those students, or the students themselves come back and say,
it's so incredibly
look
fun.
at my report card now. I mean,
love
does it ever
it.
get old?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just
And it happens over and over and over.
all the time. I had a young lady come in the other day, and she had come through Learning RX when she was just a little bitty, and she's now in PT school,
Oh,
I had
wow.
one who, in fact, today I went to a school meeting, and I was standing waiting on the meeting to start, and this little girl looks up to me and says, "Hi, do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I told her what her name was, and she told me what grade she was in, and I was like, "Wow, I think you were like in 2nd grade when you came to Learning RX." And she said, "No, it was 1st.
Wow.
And, so yeah, it's really, really great to see these kiddos and adults.
Okay,
and
so
how
what do
much
you
it
want to
changes
say
their
to those
life.
parents who are saying right now, and
Sure.
folks, forgive me, but we've all been there. Okay, let's just wait a while and see how this year's going to start for him. Because I think
how big you want the hole to be.
teacher meetings are generally about the 4th or 4.5 week, because it's right about in midway in the
Sure.
first 9 weeks. So most schools are going to schedule them, slot them in about the 4-week level. So what do you say to parents who are saying, well, let me see how this year begins for him or her? Because we know where they are intuitively as parents. We know where they are, right?
I think so. I think most parents do know. Some parents don't see the gap because it gets hidden,
Right,
and so
right.
the gap surprises them. But the majority of the time, you've had a hint. You've done tutoring in the past, and
Right.
you've had to do it more than once. It wasn't just a one-time thing when a teacher was out. It was, repetitively we're struggling with math and having to get math tutors, or repetitively we're having to get extra help for reading or, comprehension, series or whatever it is. There's different things that kiddos struggle with, but being able to address it early on is key to having a successful year. Because if you're already by, let's say week 4, week 5, you're just now hearing from the teacher that there's a problem, you've already lost 5 weeks.
You've
that
lost
process.
half a 9-week period.
That's correct. Yeah. And there's only 4 of those in a
Yeah.
year. And so the time really, really flies by. And I know that getting into school, it's really, there's just so much of a whirlwind trying to get it done.
Yeah.
But the process is you fall further and further behind the longer you wait.
Right. So don't wait. 797-8523 is the number to call. Everything starts with the cognitive testing, and that's $100 off right now. 797-8523. All right. So, when I know there's some people, and you're going to cringe, but I got to ask this question. Well, Learning RX, aren't they tutors? Isn't this tutoring? My child really doesn't need a tutor. What's the difference between tutoring and brain training?
So tutoring is reteaching content materials because someone has been out, the teacher didn't deliver it very well, or the child had a hard time, grasping the concept the first time around because they had a weak cognitive skill.
Right.
Anyways, throw that in there. But the point of it is that brain training actually identifies the weak skill and retrains that weak skill. So we don't spend our time reteaching content as our only foray. Now, we actually do add some content in,
Sure,
because we have to fill in. Once we reestablish the foundation, we actually have to help kind of catch up a little bit.
Right.
So we do some mathematical processes, and we do teach reading and practice reading and vocabulary. But
Right.
the thing about that is that the foundation, whenever your foundation is really weak in the brain, then you've got holes that have to be patched. Those
Right.
have to be corrected in order for those things to become strong. So a child who's struggling in algebra in high school, that probably goes way back to foundational principles that were in elementary school, and they didn't get those principles. They
Right.
didn't remember those formulas. Their memory is faulty. They have processing issues. They didn't take it in as quickly as they need to. So what we do is actually look at those foundational issues and then retrain those areas of memory and attention and focus. And
You mentioned executive functioning a
Correct.
moment ago. Would it be fair to say that any kind of intervention that you're going to have at Learning RX is going to improve executive functioning, maybe even dramatically improve
so
executive
the
functioning?
primary skills we see associated, all of the skills are reliant on executive function and executive function. So any training is going to boost those skills, but primarily we see the working memory associated as well as the attention and processing speed. Those are the primary areas of deficits that we see in executive function. And those affect so many things, from impulse control to self-regulation, emotional regulation, anxiety. A lot of things that you see that are attributable are related into that executive function.
So if you've been told, or it's been suggested to you, maybe by a school counselor or someone else, well, this child, you need to go check out attention deficit. This child may have attention deficit disorder, or this child may have oppositional defiant disorder. You're saying that by addressing the brain issues, those things at times, many times, improve, sometimes go away.
Right. So the thing about it is you need to see what's causing it. And
Right.
Learning RX is not a one-size-fits-all. We individualize and we customize our programs. So if they come to us and they need also behavioral assistance or other assistance, we refer out to help people. We want to address the full need for the child.
Right.
So we see what those weaknesses are. We listen to what the parents say, and we refer out. Even if the school placement may not be the correct placement, that's one of the great things about being here for 15 years, as we celebrate our 15 years, is that we know a lot of the school systems and what the availabilities of a delivery are. We know if, the child would be better fitted to be at a year-round school,
Right.
which we have in
Which we
Caddo
do have,
Parish.
yeah.
We know if those are going to be better for that child. And so we can help direct you. Now, we're not going to say you have to do this, obviously,
No,
but
but
we're
it's
going to give you some
recommendation.
choices.
Yeah.
And say, here are some good people to work with in these things. Maybe your child needs some speech therapy because they're saying lello instead of yellow,
Yeah.
Maybe there are some weaknesses there that need to be addressed. And so those are things that we can help you with in making sure. One of the number one things I hear right now from parent after parent after parent is, well, my child is having attention issues. Well, is it truly an attention issue, or is it a working memory issue? What is actually causing it? Because working memory very often looks like that. Magnesium deficiency looks like that. Dehydration looks like that.
When we come back from this break, let's talk about dehydration. In fact, let's talk about proper hydration and even super hydration when we come back. Can we do that? Learning RX Shreveport, 797-8523. Denisa Walker, the owner and executive director, is with us today. LearningRx.com Shreveport, 797-8523. Let me talk to you about the Robinson Film Center. You know, it's been going on for 15 years, and it is a jewel, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport.
I got to get in there and catch Barbenheimer.
Yeah, you
still
better
got some time.
you got some time, but you better hurry.
I have like a day.
You're gonna try to do Barbie and Oppenheimer same. You may need to go get need to go get some brain training before you go try to do that. Hey folks, whatever. RobinsonFilmCenter.org. Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor, full service bistro and bar, open Tuesday through Saturday, and for lunch and dinner. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is where you check out and see what's going on. You want to join the crowd. You want to join the fun. Become a member. Get discounts on movies. Get concession upgrades. Get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport, RobinsonFilmCenter.org. And welcome back. Welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Jimmie Bryant, David McMillian. One of our very favorite, you know, I don't even know if I should call you a life strategist anymore because you're here so often. I think last time you were here, we designated co-host strategist to Denise Walker, didn't we?
That's right.
Yeah. So there you go.
It.
Learning Rx Shreveport, 797-8523. Wonderful place, celebrating, what, how many years?
15.
15 candles up there.
Yeah.
Got to be a big bash coming up.
September the 8th from 3:30 to 6:30 at the Surge over in Bossier.
Going to get with Drew Brees and the
We're
gang.
going to have a party.
All
over there
right.
to celebrate. Yes.
All right.
Excited about doing that.
So, you know, of course, it's hot. It's been hot. It's going to continue to be hot. How big a problem is hydration?
Hydration is an enormous problem. It's probably our number one problem that we're having, not only in our area, but across our nation, because we don't drink enough. I mean, that's just now.
And it's across all ages too. I mean, we're
across all
talking
ages.
kids.
Yes.
We're talking
For sure.
you know, us higher wisdom folks.
Yes,
How
that's
about
it.
that?
Yes, yes. Higher
How's that?
wisdom.
That was great.
We'll say it. Yeah. So hydration is probably the number one issue, and if you're feeling a lot of fatigue, that's probably due to that. So
Ooh,
I hear that all the
so
time. Is I'm so tired.
Fatigue is one of the
Number one sign.
wow.
Severe fatigue is the number one sign of dehydration.
All right.
Weakness, fatigue, a lot of sleepiness, those are all signs. And so if your children are coming home from school and they're severely tired, needing a nap immediately, or just so weak, and they're probably dehydrated. And this is just one of the things. A lot of kids get so busy during the school day, they don't drink.
Right.
Even if they have their water bottle, or it's so rushed, or they don't want to touch that water machine, or, there's
Okay, but
10.
now what's a lot of kids carry, and a lot of people carry water bottles.
Sure.
Does water need to be? I mean, I know this is a sounds like a crazy question, but does water need to be in those water bottles? What needs to be in those water bottles?
Water is good to have in those water bottles, but there's also other things. So sometimes we are not getting enough of the electrolytes and the potassium and the magnesium and the things that our body needs to have good functionality.
You mean that's not in our city water?
Well, I mean,
Or in the bottled water
the
I pay
truth of it is,
a lot for?
yes, if you tested those, the majority of them do not have the added nutrients that they actually need.
Wow.
So they have been depleted through different processes.
Right.
And so people don't realize that, and they don't realize that they're not fully hydrated like they need to be fully hydrated. And so what I encourage people to do is super hydrate. And that means just simply making sure that you have, so first thing that you do when you get up in the morning is you drink a full 8 ounces of water before you do anything else.
Before I drink my coffee, before I
you
do anything
else, because all night long you have, basically dehydrated your body. And so your body wakes up dehydrated.
Right.
You've sweated it out. Your body has used up what you have as fuel. So you wake up with no fuel.
Right.
And so think about your car. If you got your car and your car has absolutely no fuel,
You gotta
and
put
you're
some
going
fuel in
on
it.
fumes, okay? And then now you're sending them off to school because they're in a hurry. They brushed their teeth and got that little gasp of fuel, but
Right.
that's about if you got them to brush their teeth. They probably forgot because they were dehydrated.
Yeah.
But anyways, the point of it is that in the process, that dehydration continues throughout the day. So they may say when they're reaching the point that they're really thirsty, that is a problem. So, and that's the thing, is that even regular hydration, well, the temperatures that we're having right now, you should be drinking 150% of your body weight in ounces of water. That's an
Wow.
incredible amount. So
Yes.
if you're, 100 pounds, then you should be drinking 175 ounces of water. I mean, that's a lot when you think about that. Okay. So you're going to be drinking that normal amount that you're drinking. You should be drinking 150%, not just the 50% that you
Right.
normally do.
Right.
And that's because, can you have too much water? Can you have a water problem? If your body's not using water properly, it should be getting rid of it. But if you don't have enough of the minerals on board that you need to, then your body doesn't get rid of. The super duper easy tool is, adding fruit to water is a really good way to do it, and letting it actually go into the water. There's just
So
a
are we
lot
talking
of
as
ways.
simple as lemon,
We're talking as simple as lemon.
or a piece of orange,
A
or
piece of orange, a lemon. These are just super easy ways to do.
so you just quarter it and drop it in the water? Or?
What I actually prefer to do is salt it and then drop it in the water. Just
Really?
a little bit of salt on the fruit and then drop it into the water, because then
Okay.
you get the benefit of both. Okay. So I'm not a medical doctor, and that's not my field. I
Right.
just work with the brain.
Right.
And so I know when kids are coming in and they're so dehydrated that they can't hardly stay awake, you give them a cup of water and it can totally, wake them back up. So,
Right.
there's super duper easy ways. There's little add-ins that you can do. You can get Pedialyte and put a little cap full of Pedialyte. I'm not saying drink a whole Pedialyte every day,
Right.
but you could put a cap full of Pedialyte
Just
in there
supplement
just to
with
get
it.
it to supplement, if that's your easiest way to do it. There's lots of different ways. There's natural ways that you can do it. The point of it is that they need to be hydrating, and because hydrating is the way to keep the brain fuel going.
And it's hot right now, so it's obvious, but hydrating the brain, making sure that the brain has a proper amount of hydration, is going to be just as important when we've got our sweaters and coats on
For sure.
in January.
Well, and a lot of
as
people say,
now.
well, they're inside all day long because it's too hot to be outside, so why do they need so much extra water? Well, the reality is that the air is drying them out wherever they are.
Yeah.
And then when you're using your brain, you're using a lot of fuel, they're going to need more than what they did potentially when they were, vegging out,
Right.
It's just really important that you don't perpetuate that and make the situation worse and worse because you're not getting enough hydration. And I hear a lot of people go, well, I'm not drinking water because I have to go pee all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sign.
And we should
That's an excellent sign.
Normal, quote unquote normal, is every hour, right?
Yes, you should be going
If
to
you're
the
not
restroom
every hour,
you're
you
dehydrated.
need to ask yourself what can I do to supplement?
Right. You absolutely need to be asking yourself that. So if you are not going to the potty every hour, then you absolutely are having a problem.
Some of we more mature people, and I think this may be a bigger problem for men than women, but maybe not. I don't know. We try not to. We say, that's a good thing, huh?
Well, it's not, because
No.
as little as 2% of fluid loss can actually affect your memory, your mood, and your concentration, as well as your reaction time. So it can affect your driving ability. Just a little dehydration. So you're driving down the road and you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to drink anything because I don't want to have to pee. I hear this all the time from my parents. I'm not going to drink anything for the 2-hour drive because I will have to go potty. Well, I would rather you stop an hour down the road and go potty than I would for you not to drink, because now you're causing yourself more problems.
I knew this was going to happen. Lauren just texted me, all caps, you need water. Okay, folks, 797-8523. Learning RX, Denisa Walker. Right now, $100 off of cognitive testing. It's a great idea. I know school has just started, but we all know about where our kids are. Cognitive testing, so you've got a baseline. No better time to do it than right now. Call Learning RX, 797-8523. You can also go online, learningrx.com/Shreveport. You can book everything online. You can book your cognitive testing online. It is super simple, super easy. 318-797-8523. If you have any questions, Denisa Walker, Learning RX Shreveport. And welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back to Strategies for Living. Jimmie, Bryant, David McMillian with Denisa Walker, owner and executive director of Learning Rx Shreveport, and she's also a board-certified cognitive specialist. Speaking of that cognitive specialty, right now, cognitive testing, we need to do this no matter how old you are. It can, of course, it's very, very important for our school-age children. Cognitive testing is a great baseline, and it's now $100 off at Learning Rx Shreveport, 797-8523, or just simply go online, learningrx.com/Shreveport. Denisa, thank you for all you do. You got to come back shortly. We need a whole program on hydration. And because as you're talking, I realize that, probably everybody we know is dehydrated.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it, and I don't drink enough. I mean, we were just discussing in the time, I don't drink enough. I should have drank this whole cup during this hour, and I drank half.
So you got to come back soon, and we'll do a whole show on hydration, because I know that when I get home, I'm going to be lectured, and so I need to be able to say, to defend myself, okay, Denise's coming back, and we're going to do a whole show on dehydration.
Sounds good. Okay. Sounds great.
797-8523. Learning Rx Shreveport Bossier. LearningRx.com/Shreveport. Folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. Thank you for being here with us. You're the reason we do this, and we can do it because of our wonderful sponsors like Learning Rx, like the Robinson Film Center, like Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Hempress Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and the Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of my life, your life, who would you call? What would you say? And why am I waiting? Why are you waiting? Make the call. For Denisa Walker, for Jimmie Bryant, I'm David McMillian. We'll see you next time here on Strategies for Living.